Like, can you
Right.
explain to people who, have no idea even what factory means? Like, what is it?
All right. Yeah. That's not an easy one. This could go on for a couple minutes, but well, when you're on a factory team, you're racing for a bicycle brand. So Giant Factory Off-Road Racing was my first factory team. So that was Giant Bicycles, like their proper factory team. Like that was the bicycle brand's ultimate team. Like so there's other like little satellite teams and stuff like that, but that was the team. So when you're on a factory team, especially Giant, like I wish I had raced for like a smaller brand factory team before I got on Giant. I think I would have thrived a little bit better in that company. It's a large company. So even within the factory team, there is a level of hierarchy and then so like you come into the factory team, you're down here, Carl Decker, Adam Craig, and Marcelo and these other guys are up here. So then like okay, it's cool, you're on the factory team, but like team camp, I get like a bunch of jerseys, my team bike, some swag and stuff, and I get sent home with like 3 or 4 tires, and these guys would go home with. Marcel was getting shipped home with boxes and stuff. He was also doing World Cups and stuff. I was doing handfuls of EWSs and things. So it makes sense that there is a hierarchy and there's people that are more important, I guess, in a way. It's not clean cut. Well, maybe it is for some other teams, but that team, for example, was like they allocated resources the way that they thought probably the best way that they could be used. Um, when you're on a factory team, Giant, I never got a salary, but I was reimbursed quite well for podiums, and travel was all taken care of. I think even some food was. I had a food stipend as well for that. So gas, lodging, race entry fees, a podium incentive, so podium bonuses. So I'd get a podium and they would pay me money. And then they were paying for flights. So all my itineraries and stuff. So when I would everything on the East Coast, I'd be driving to. So that was taken care of through my reimbursements and my expense reports. But if I was flying to Whistler and Canada or Seat or national championships, that was all hands off. I literally, my team manager would send me itineraries and ask me if that was good or not. And I'd be like, yeah, I can leave on this day and that day. And he would book it and then send me the stuff. And he's like, we'll have somebody to come pick you up at the airport and on the other end. And they would come with a team truck, and then they would have the lodging taken care of. And then once you're there, food was taken care of, dinners were taken care of, shuttles back and forth from the venue were taken care of. You hand your bike off to your team mechanic at the end of the day, be like, fork needs a rebuild, or I smashed my derailleur, stuff would get taken care of. So in that sense, it was great. But with that level of support, I came in super green. Like I was literally a year and a half, 2 years into even racing enduro, transferring from strictly cross country. I didn't even have a dual suspension bike until my last year or two of racing cross country. So I came into 2013. I'm going to race downhill and Super D and enduros and blah 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 and all this stuff. And I had no experience. I had no knowledge of bike setup. I just knew I could handle a bike semi well. So I was learning on the fly with the factory team and being thrown in with these legends of the sport, honestly, because they're still around. These guys that have been with Giant for years and years and years, and people have podium at World Cups and stuff, and I'm just like this two-time national champion with minimal experience, trying to learn the best I can and hang with these guys. So and I kind of got caught in the undercurrent of that, and it spit me out the other end, where I was too shy and not proactive enough. If I was on the team now, I feel like I'd be a better, ambassador, and I have more knowledge, and I'd be able to speak more fluently about with mechanics and team managers about my needs and how I see myself in the future of the team and the sport. Because they would always ask these questions at team camp, like, what are your goals for the year? What are your, where do you see yourself? And, basically acknowledging your own business plan for yourself, even though you're with a factory team, they're not going to tell you what to do. Like, you have to be able to present to them that you're willing and able to like put the effort in. If they're going to come this far, you have to go the next step. And they were asking questions that maybe I couldn't answer at the time. And then there, you know, it ends up being kind of like a little bit of a tit and tat, you know, and I don't know. I just wasn't a great fit for the team at the end of 2 years.
I think you were just learning so much. Like,
I
'cause
was.
you came into a new sport, you came into a totally new environment,
Totally.
and like everyone was figuring out enduro, and you're figuring out how to be an employee because you always did everything yourself.
Yeah,
That was
totally.
that was a big difference for you.
It was like the hugest transition, and honestly, it just created a great level of frustration. Even though I was racing quite well, but I'm still learning so much every race that I go to, especially this year, like with all new all new equipment. But we'll get to that. But like just in those like basic first years of racing, like I was still winning Eastern States Cup enduros. Guys were starting to figure it out. Guys, we were coming from downhill and starting to race the enduro stuff, and they were getting fitter every year. They keep getting fitter, so like it got more competitive. And once it got more competitive, I was learning more. But the frustration was that like I didn't feel like I could make the team happy, even though I was racing well. And I was just like, I don't know, like what's the end goal? Like I don't like. So I don't. It didn't really work out the best. It wasn't the best fit for me.